Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to Football Inc. Have you missed us? We had a little week away, maybe a little bit more, 9 days or so. Johnny's still on Hollypops, but we thought we'd get back. You know why? Because it's not deadline day, every day is deadline day here at Football Inc. We've got transfer news, views, and clues for you. I hope you can do us some favours, guys, and smash the like button for us if you enjoy the content. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell and drop the comments thick and fast. And also, guys, if you are interested in walking the wife and you prefer to listen or watch podcast formats of football content, you can do so. Check Football Inc. on all of your podcast platforms. You should find us there. If you can't, then look in the description below. You'll find the link. Guys, I hope you are ready for a catch-up session. We've got so much to talk about. We've got Arsenal new stadium. We've got Tottenham takeover things we've got to get through. We have transfer news, views, and clues up the wazoo. There's so many of them going on at the moment because it's not January yet, but we're not far away, and it's international break boredom time. Johnny, how are you, mate? How's holiday?
Holiday's great. I've missed Football Inc. I've missed the chat. I've missed the banter. But we've been going at it for. We just needed a short break and come back refreshed. There's plenty to talk about. So apologies if you've missed us, and if you haven't missed us, tough. We're back.
We're back anyway. Yeah, we're back. Mates, guys, yeah, please do smash. I'm just seeing who's in the house already. It's a lot of Johnny talking to a lot of people. So I'll say hello to everyone. Welcome back. Welcome to you, Fiona. Welcome, James. Welcome, Geek Jinx. Good to see you. Good to see you guys. I need to make a new jingle for transfer news, views, and clues, don't I? Because that's the one we bring through every day. I'll get on the old. I haven't done a jingle for a while. I'll make some jingles up. Johnny, let's start with the roundup, shall we? Of let's go in sort of reverse chronological order. Let's start with the big one out of Arsenal right now. There's a lot of news regarding Arsenal. First and foremost, it looks like they're finally going to get around to being the biggest stadium in the Premier League in London again. Tottenham Hotspur have had that title for a couple of years since we made our little extension of about 400 seats and just nipped ahead of them. But it looks like they're going to be going over to Wembley next season after next, I think it's scheduled for, potentially if it goes through. And then when they return to the Emirates, there'll be 70,000 seater stadium. I believe, Johnny, the stadium was built with the extensions in mind. So it's not going to cost the same sort of money as it would cost, as what it cost Fulham, for example, to do their new stand, or what it cost Man City to do theirs, or what it cost Liverpool to do theirs. Because usually extensions on current stadiums on a per-seat basis cost a hell of a lot more than on a per-seat basis of building a stadium from scratch. So what's your thoughts on the plans, mate? What's your thoughts on the news? In fact, you're a property guy, aren't you? So you can maybe educate me on this.
Well, listen, I've got to be honest with you. It's not about the 10,000 seats because they're looking at putting a roof on. They're looking at doing the Atletico Madrid model. They're looking at copying Spurs' underground surface to have concerts because they want to take the concerts away from us. In fact, they want to take everything away from Spurs. It's annoying them.
It's like the tax man.
Yeah, and listen, but I don't believe I still believe, Sean, it'll end up costing them 500-600 million, if not more.
Oh yeah, no, it won't. Yeah, sorry, it won't be cheap. I was just in terms of the stadium, like as far as I was aware, and again, you might know more about this than I do, but as far as I was aware, if you have a stadium and you're just trying to extend the stadium, like you're just trying to build a new stand that's got an extra 5,000 seats, then on a per seat basis, it costs a shitload of money to be able to redesign the engineering and the extra weight and all that stuff. So if they're doing everything else as well, then obviously it'll be a massive investment.
I think it's £1 billion plus because I think, they will look to upgrade the infrastructure, cabling, electrics, think about how things have... hospitality suites, the new roof. Can you imagine? I mean, imagine, for example, Spurs with the roof on. The sound's got nowhere to go. So, you're amplifying the sound. And it's all about income. I mean, Arsenal have been very, very clever. In fact, they've been absolutely superb in driving revenues. into the club. I think they're up something like 25%. And could you imagine what they would be if they had the facilities that Spurs have with their pitch, retractable pitch, the NFL concerts and the like? I think it's more than just the 10,000 extra seats. And knowing Arsenal, I reckon they'd be looking at going for 80,000. I know.
No, I think the I'm not sure about this, but I'm pretty sure I read somewhere quite a while ago, because I was doing some research as to whether Tottenham could extend themselves if they wanted to, because I know that the limitations initially were around the transport links, right? And that's why it was limited to 62. But apparently it's been sort of hard coded, the stadium, so it can't really be extended any more than this, absent some extortionately expensive, project. And I think that when I looked at it, Arsenal always had it built in to go to 70. It was always something that could happen in the future with regards I don't know if that's to do with this project, but I'm not sure if they're going to go any higher than that. But I thought when I read a few months ago, it said that 70,000 was the intended final capacity.
Spurs Stadium would probably cost double today of what it cost us.
Yeah.
Rising material costs, labour costs. I mean, raw materials have just gone through the roof. Shortage of labour. I mean, if you know to get the ground finished quicker, Spurs paid a heck of a lot of money to get them off the Elizabethan line. Some of the construction line to bring onto the Spurs project, but it's an expensive project. If you look at the Bernabeu, they're trying to do similar to what happened at the Bernabeu and that project, but it won't just be that. It will be, overhauling hospitality, overhauling everything. So, it's probably a two-year project.
There's not a lot going on in that stadium. When I went there for the Arsenal-Tottenham game a couple of years ago, it's nice from the outside, but when you get in, it still has all of the hallmarks in terms of like the access to bars and all those sorts of things. It still had all the kind of concrete hallmarks of an old sort of stadium, like Stamford Bridge or like Tottenham White Hart Lane used to be, like little holes in the wall where you could just buy your beers and your crisps, but nothing like what the South Stand bar looks like at.
It's 20 years old, and whilst at the time, moving in, don't forget they made a lot of money back selling flats in the old Highbury, because Highbury being in Islington, they brought a lot of money back on that. There's not a lot of call for hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of flats in Tottenham, unfortunately, at this present stage. But
it's not a call for what? Sorry,
there's not a call. I mean, Islington property prices, Tottenham property prices, they're not comparable. So when they converted the old ground, they got quite a few £1 million back for that. I just think that Arsenal, the Cronkies are very, very good business people. They've invested heavily into the club on the pitch. And like Spurs, if you've ever been down to Spurs, you'll see, 6-7 days a week, that stadium is earning money. There's corporate events. There are people who use their boxes for meetings and stuff like that. There's always something going on there. And with the hotel coming there, and the extreme sports, and all the other bits and pieces that are coming, I think I can see revenues being driven still higher. Maybe hence the reason why the Lewis people want to come in.
Well, this is the thing, right? So let's move alongside, because there's actually because I want to talk about Manchester United stadium plans as well. Since the last time we spoke, there's a little bit more ammunition there, around 100,000 seater capacity there. Before we get to that, though, you mentioned Tottenham. Obviously, I think since the last time we spoke, there's been Brooklyn Eric has walked away as well from the other takeover bid, and also the NFL game. The first of 2 NFL games took place last weekend, just gone, and the Dallas Cowboys owner, who's been a massive proponent of globalization of their sport, he said that he believes that there will be a franchise in London in the next 5 years. Listen, I don't know if you know this, but I don't suppose there's any chance at all that Arsenal could, in terms of their extension, put in a retractable pitch or any of that sort of thing? Is it that sort of ship has sailed surely for the football club?
No. They're looking for a retractable pitch.
Really? What for NFL?
I don't know if for NFL, maybe for concerts, but they are definitely looking at retractable pitch.
Imagine the all-time greatest gazumping ever. So about Eze on steroids. This guy would be this would be the Hulk Hogan of steroid induced Eze amplifications if Arsenal were to then steal the NFL.
Who's got more clout in America? Joe Lewis and the Lewis kids.
Of course,
yeah,
of course,
exactly.
the Conkeys,
Fenway Sports.
Listen, I mean, stranger things have happened. That would be the most unbelievable gut wrenching outcome if it was to happen that way. But anyway, for now, it looks as though if Tottenham get the NFL training ground as well and do all that stuff, I think they'd have enough leverage to make it happen. And look, then Johnny, you've got a situation where essentially every single week. I mean, imagine the local economy in Tottenham. You mentioned that it's not the most desirable place to live, and I hear you on that part. But the amount of money that would be flying into the economy if you have a home game for Tottenham on the one weekend, maybe a Champions League game on the Wednesday, then you get the NFL rolling into town every couple of weeks, and that's the fanfare alongside that. Everyone that owns a one-bedroom flat would be able to make an absolute fortune out of Airbnb-ing it. All of the restaurants, the bars. It would be just an absolute game changer for the economy. Not that Tottenham Hotspur Stadium hasn't been a game changer already. Then in the summer, you have two concerts a week. You have all the things going on underneath the stadium. I mean, it would be an unbelievable place to just the amount of traffic that would be going through Tottenham would be insane if there was an NFL franchise at Tottenham in a few years' time.
They're trying to regentrify or gentrify the area with there's a massive housing project that's just been resubmitted, somewhat different to the original one that I saw that was meant to start, I think, in 2022. And that's obviously going to help. There's meant to be like a Wembley Way type walkway. Look, for me, if you want to bring up the area, what you need to do is dig up this line and extend the Seven Sisters line straight into
is that the Victoria line, isn't it?
But there's an old line that runs along there.
Well, that's just shut off at the moment.
Yeah. They could definitely, if that was open and it was more accessible and the train just went straight there, people stopping off at Seven Sisters and walking down. If that was there, I'd be more inclined.
Seven Sisters and Tottenham Hale. It doesn't matter. I've walked from both, and I'm a big guy, and it takes the edge off. Like even after watching the last game when we drew with Wolves, I didn't put a video out. I was so angry, Johnny, with the performance, and I was so tired, having walked about 50,000 steps that day. I thought I'd given myself the Kota Takai. That my foot was aching from lugging around this frame of mine. Yeah, it's a good 2-mile walk, isn't it, from Seven Sisters? If they could get an underground somewhere similar
to be underground, but it doesn't. This is my point. It doesn't need to go underground, right? I get on the underground train, say at Cockfosters or at other stations, and there's certain stations which are above ground. It's not a problem. Yeah. You just have that bit underground, and there's track there. But what it would do, it would stop a lot of the traffic. I got to be honest with you, I don't catch the train because of that 2-mile walk and the 2-mile walk back, and it's in the winter when it's pissing with rain. If they made that, it's not just for football. I'm talking about, if you want to relocate there once they build these flats, for example, if David Lammy had some foresight and he wants to see the area regenerated, that's all he needs to do. And to bring it in. And also they need to say
how much that would cost though to build.
Doesn't matter. We're talking about the regeneration of an area, a rundown area. Spurs are the biggest employer in the area, right? Forget just the football, all the events, the corporate events, the hospitality and stuff. They all try to do
800 employees, isn't it? Full-time employees at Tottenham,
something like that. And then you've got the academy at Lily White House. Education stuff. There's lots of areas, but what they need to do is in the new development, put a place there to save the iconic chicken, so that they can still have their.
Mate? You know what? Right. I feel like I need to do a segment on the Spurs talk show, because I always say I don't eat lunch, right? If I'm going up, or don't eat dinner, I get my dinner when I'm up there. I've eaten in all those places along the high road, and the queue for Chick King is outrageously above the quality of the food, mate. No disrespect to Chick King, I know it's iconic, I get it, but there's another fish and chip shop that's like 6 doors down, and the queue for Chick King goes past the other fish and chip shop.
Yeah, but
or the other chicken shop, whatever it is, the other chicken. It's just chicken. I don't get it. Like there's about 400 places on that high road that you could eat. It's no different to anywhere else. Explain to me the Chick King thing, because they must make so much money, and I just don't understand why people love it so much. I've eaten there; it's all right. It's not great. It's not bad.
Well, listen, I go there or the jerk chicken. I mean, for many years, I used to go to the Turkish before a game. That was my ritual with my boys, and then we go on to the game. I've had loads of different rituals, but you know, it's part and parcel. Every fan's got rituals, whichever club you support. You know, whether it's to go to a certain pub, whether it's the Bill Nick or the Bricklayers Arms, or the
nostalgia rather than the actual quality.
Correct, and that's what a lot of it's about. I mean, I was at Leeds on Sunday. There's no nostalgia there. I was in the fan park, which was like a pig enclosure with a bit of rope, and a guy was in a shed. And if it was raining, you're just going to be soaked. Whereas
the first time in my life I ever got called a cokehead was when I was about 8 years old or 9 years old at the 94-95 FA Cup semi-final, when it was Tottenham Everton, and I don't know if it was an Everton lad or a local Leeds guy. He had an argument with someone, and he turned around and threw a can of Coke at the guy who he was having an argument with, and it smacked me in the face.
Well,
I bawling my eyes out. I had this ring around my face for like a week, and everyone called me a cokehead when I was 9.
Well, talking about throwing cokes, I mean, could you imagine what would have happened if that bottle had hit Kudos on Saturday?
Yeah.
I mean, that's shattering his head.
This is the same thing that was thrown at Pedro Porro, right? And these things are quite heavy.
Yeah, but I've got to say the glass.
Was it a glass bottle?
It was a glass bottle. Yeah, that would have done serious damage. And then on the way out, Spurs fans were singing, "You've seen the Tottenham now, F off home." Yeah. And the guy started doing the Nazi salute. 3 Nazi salutes. You know, honestly, it wasn't the most pleasant place to go to. I don't know how it came across on the television.
To be honest, I didn't see or hear any of that. Obviously, I didn't see the bottle throwing incident until after the game, but on Twitter. But I did see the vape being thrown at Pedro Porro, and but the actual atmosphere was sensational. At least it came through. The Tottenham fans, the away fans were brilliant.
It was brilliant,
and the Leeds fans were great as well. To be honest, so it was, and in the wind and the rain, it was a good game of football. Jonny, let's move on just quickly before we get into the transfer news, views, and clues. Last bit of the story about this stadium upgrades or whatever. Manchester United also looking to get sort of permission on a 100,000 seater upgrade. I mean, like, they didn't fix the roof when the sun was shining, literally, for 25 years under the Glaziers. You had, what's his name, crying pauper. So Jim Ratcliffe crying pauper at the tail end of last year. How much is it going to cost to fix what is already there, and then to also add an extra 30,000 seats? I mean, that's also going to be 1 billion plus, isn't it? And where's that money coming from, and who's going to be funding it?
So Norman Foster, the famous architect, he must be well into his 80s now, maybe even 90s. He came up with this elaborate design that looked like something out of Saudi Arabia, with this sort of circus tent roof. Grandiose plans. Probably Jim Ratcliffe thought, well, Andy Burnham's probably going to take over from Starmer, and that got kicked into touch. But Andy Burnham was talking about the government funding it. yeah, we can't even fund our own people. So no, thank you to funding a stadium in Manchester. The initial cost was 2 billion plus. Sure, 2 billion.
Yeah.
2 billion.
That's a lot of money in it.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Who's going to put? Where's that going to come from?
Well, I mean,
so Jim Ratcliffe isn't putting that in, mate. That geezer's lost about 50% of his wealth. Have you seen the share price of Ineos? Like, it's insane, So he's not doing it. And Man United have already spent. I mean, we're going to come on to what their intentions are with Antoine Semenyo in a minute, and also Harry Maguire and a bunch of other stories. But like, they spent a lot of money on the team, not a lot of money saved back for infrastructure. But infrastructure is the way to go, right? Daniel Levy did create the template of how to get how to get generous wealth, generous revenues from the match-going fan. And so
we're a
they
turnkey
do it now, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Spurs is probably the best turnkey operation you can buy on the market. Come straight in.
You can't buy it though, Johnny. You can't buy it.
Apparently. Yeah, it's the best turnkey operation. Manchester United, the Glazers by name, but no glazing going on with the roof. It's quite incredible that iconic stadium was not maintained. It's like building, a beautiful house, and 30 years later, you haven't done anything. The roof's leaking. I mean, we've all seen the pictures. I was up there last year. There's water coming through the roof. We've seen it on various videos throughout the year. I mean, what are they going to do? Are they going to end up doing what Arsenal are going to do and build on top, or do what Liverpool do and do a stand by stand?
And Manchester City done the same thing, haven't they? City are doing the same thing now as well. I think what's interesting, mate, is not necessarily interesting. I want to ask this: have you ever sat in a 100,000-seater stadium before at the back? I've sat at Wembley, right? And Wembley, I think, is about 90,000. And when Tottenham played Barcelona years ago in the Champions League run, I was there and got to see Messi rip us apart. But we were 2 rows from the back, me and my dad and I. And it was horrendous. It was a horrendous view, right? I was like binoculars, like West Ham level stuff, right? It was so far away. I've been to the new camp, the old new camp, and you'll call it the old camp, I guess now. And I've been at the back there as well, and it's a hard watch. And I just wonder whether at some point, like, how big can you really go before you start sort of having diminishing returns on experience value?
Well, I mean, look at West Ham. I think that's probably the worst stadium that I know, in the sense that you're just so far away. You feel disconnected. I feel disconnected when I'm there. And the same with Arsenal's ground. They might be able to put an extra seats on the top, but you'll still be a considerable way from the front of the stadium. I don't know, unless they have some way of doing it. I mean, I was very fortunate, Sean, when we moved there. I sat in the Bobby Moore from my season ticket, and even that, you're much nearer than most people. But even that, you felt away. The only thing
this is at West Ham, yeah. This is at West Ham.
No, I'm saying at West Ham, you're miles away. But I'm saying when we were at Wembley.
Oh, at Wembley. Sorry, the Bobby Moore at Wembley.
I was in the Bobby Moore section, which
and that's
is
still far away. Yeah.
It still felt far away. But, I sat there for a lot of games. But like you, I sat in the other seats as well. And, you don't feel connected. And that's the beauty of Spurs Stadium and some of the old stadiums like Luton, where I went with you, when you're right on top of the action. I like those old stadiums.
I love them too. The only problem is, though, if you get stuck behind a pillar, which is often the case, then you're like doing that every 5 seconds. You end up like you look like you're watching tennis. It's I guess there's always going to be some sort of trade-off, right? Like if you want to have massive stadium, massive supporters coming in, at some point you're going to get far. I'd love to. Apparently in North Korea they've got that the North Korean stadium allegedly. I don't know if anyone's been in there and seen it, but apparently it's 250,000 people in there. Imagine being stuck at the back of that one. You must be about like 300 meters away from the from whatever they're doing at the on the pitch.
Well, the difference there is it doesn't cost much because you don't pay the workers. You give them a bowl of rice, and if a few fall off the building, a bit like Qatar, it doesn't really matter. They just sweep them under the carpet. But look, I think personally that if Man United want to extend or build it, great. But I don't believe they should be given government funding. Spurs have been given no funding to build a new. We asked for a new train station and a transport line from Seven Sisters, and we never got it. That's not.
You were making the argument a minute ago for David Lammy to get on board that sort of thing. So
correct.
If it's got to be good for what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If they're going to get it, then we should get it as well. But if we didn't, then they shouldn't, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
Fair enough. Listen, I want to ask you this question before. Again, we've got lots to get through. We've been going for 25. I missed it.
We've got some super chats
as well. I'll do the super chats now. And then I want to ask you about this Electronic Arts deal, Johnny, because that's, I don't know if you've read this one, mate, but an absolute monster of a story that no one's talking about. I put a video about it a few days ago. It's absolutely insane. Let's do some super chats. Super Dini, he's starting the super sticker train. Big up to you, my man. Choo, Dini. I hope you're okay, buddy. Thank you very much. Always here, always supporting. You must work from home, Dino. You must work from home, mate, because you're always sitting and not doing much work, by the way, listening in the background to whatever Johnny and I are talking about. I appreciate you very much, buddy. Spurs OC from Orange Counties. Early in the morning over there, my man. Good to see you. Howdy, fellas. Hope you had a good holiday, Johnny. I think you can see he's still on it. He's still on it. He's changing background. I asked him whether those background pics were actually legit, and he said, yeah, they are legit pics from where he is.
Yes.
Absolutely. Are you actually outside right now?
Yeah, I am actually. I'm actually outside.
Very nice too. And the Wi-Fi is holding up very well. How's the Wi-Fi, by the way, as well? Is the Wi-Fi holding up very well as well?
The wife and the eye.
Big up to you, Spurs OC. A user is here. Levy gone but not forgotten, love. All these builds, 100%. Appreciate you, mate. Hope you're okay, buddy. I miss him, mate. I miss him. And listen, we're going to have to talk about some of these transfer stories, and maybe him being out of the way might be the ability to have some doors reopened, but we'll talk about that in a short moment. Appreciate you. He said Levy tried to buy Chick King during the stadium build. Is that right, Johnny? You know that?
I'm not sure.
I'm sure they were trying to buy up most of the high road, weren't they? They were trying to do a bit of a clean sweep, but not the Chick King. That family must make an absolute fortune. Big up to you. He's come back in with another one. Carbonation meets cranium. Cokehead lives or Cokehead lives. Yeah, look, as I say, I must have been 10, 94, 95. So he must have been 10 years old. And he wasn't aiming at me, but he hit me. And when I told the story, everybody called me that name for the next little while. So a bit of nostalgia there, bit of nostalgia. Johnny, let's talk about this Electronic Arts deal, right? So the biggest deal in the history of publicly listed companies turning private, $55 billion. Electronic Arts, responsible obviously for EAFC, for I think it's Battle of whatever the popular, the games, and they were taken private by a triple consortium. The first one being the PIF, second one being Gerard Kushner's investment fund, and the third one being Silver Lake Partners, who are the majority or one of the majority owners of Manchester City. Now, when I first saw this, I was like, why is this not being spoken about? This is insane, right? The Electronic Arts already give Premier League clubs £250 million a year for various sponsorship deals. They also pay, obviously, endorsements and licensing for their game, all that stuff. I think they had a sleeve sponsor as well for something for a little while. And it's a 10-year deal. And they've gone private by these three teams, these three owners. Now,
so Kushner, can I just add that Kushner fell into this whilst doing the Abraham Agreement for peace in the Middle East. He didn't manage to get that secured, but managed to secure himself links to set up an investment project with the Saudis.
The Saudis, yep. And
with
Dubai International Court. I think it's the third,
correct.
the other one. Yeah.
So now he's linked up with the Saudi PIF. The biggest non-corporate one was the deal with Microsoft and Blizzard, I believe, which was
that was 72 billion. But that was a publicly listed company
correct.
buying a publicly listed company, right? So, and there's been other bigger takeovers as well in oil and stuff. But in terms of private taking public, private buying from publicly listed, 25% above the trading price at the time of the deal. Won't get into the specifics, but I want to talk to you more about the conflicts here. So we know that PIF fund, and I know that I've put this video out on Sean Butler TV, and I've got the usual Newcastle fans on there that absolutely despise me they always think I'm having a crack at Newcastle. I'm not. I'm just saying it how it is. That until now, Johnny, Newcastle's PIF have been relatively well behaved with regards taking advantage of all of the resources that they have and the ability to manipulate, right? We know Chelsea do it all the time. City have been accused of doing it, all this stuff. It seems like maybe Newcastle are playing, or PIF, are playing a different game here, a longer game. They've got into bed with Silver Lake, who own Manchester City, and they're taking over this club. To me, the obvious pros are that more money will come into the Premier League, so everybody's going to get a slice of that. When you look at things like the cost of tickets to go to games, and that most children are priced out, most families are priced out, right? You don't get, like at Tottenham, it will cost you 500 quid to get, if you're the father and you want to take your wife and your two kids to a game. So if there's a risk of like the young generation, and I'm not suggesting the only people that play computer games are kids, by far from it, but it's a slice of it, a large slice, a not insignificant slice. If you can't get them to the games anymore, to pick their team and to go down the farther, isn't there an ability here to manipulate the gameplay of EAFC to be able to steer people very subconsciously towards Manchester City and Newcastle by offering incentives, by giving player packs, or I don't know how the whole thing works, and things like virtual reality? Could you not in the future envision a world where you can see more games, you can watch your games through virtual reality via Electronic Arts gamesmanship? Those guys know how to do that sort of thing better than PIF would naturally. Right? Is it not like a very sleight of hand, a bit of a bait and switch? It's not just about money here. This is another little mechanism, a newly figured out mechanism of being able to influence and get some sort of stranglehold on the market via
broadcasting deals, on who's on, who's not. Or how about a sudden shirt deal for Newcastle, where Electronic Arts is suddenly paying them 50 million a season?
APT deals are now massively on the cards here, right?
Yeah.
Associated party, Electronic Arts are now an associated party.
Right.
It's funny that Manchester City, it was only a few weeks ago that they turned around and said, look, we'll settle with the Premier League. We agree that your rules are fine and ready. There's no problem here. By the way, we still want that £1 billion deal to go through that's actually worth 1.75 billion over 10 years. And at the same time, now they get into bed with EA Sports and with the PIF fund. To me, I mean, it's not even been mentioned, mate. It's not even been mentioned on TalkSport or Sky Sports.
Because they like all these things, they buy influence. I mean, look, the Saudi PIF deal to take over Newcastle was just announced. We didn't have weeks of discussion about ethical purchase of the club. It was just, oh, by the way, Newcastle have been bought by the Saudi PIF, and that's the end of it. Okay, and a lot of the clubs were shocked that it had happened. So this will be a story that will unravel over the time and probably won't be picked up until, like we said before, a huge deal is done, or for a game. There are a lot of people in the chat, if you're listening on audio, are mentioning the game Battlefield. Maybe you could be sponsored by a particular game each season. Season 1 sponsored by Battlefield, right? Which was quite right for a football club. Battlefield on the front.
Yeah. Not bad.
Or some of the other games, that could sponsor them. Because let's be honest, if you think of some of the Grand Theft Auto, for example, I'm not saying they haven't got Grand Theft Auto, but it's a multi-billion-pound game. It's worth billions and billions and billions.
You know what? You were looking at the Saudi PIF fund and going, well, when is St James's Park going to get renamed to something like the Etihad deal, right? Or the Emirates?
Yeah.
When is it going to happen? And it was like, well, what's the realistic thing there? Is it Riyadh Air? How many people are really going to Riyadh on holiday? Like, not many. Nowhere near as many people that go to Dubai via Emirates, for example, right? But EA Sports, we always talk about how do you like the market for a stadium naming rights deal. You need to cover a few things. One of them, it needs to be business to consumer facing. Two of them, the game needs the brand needs to be global. And three, obviously, in an ideal world for the football club, it needs to be coming from a source of funding where what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And obviously they can inflate those prices. And the Riyadh thing never really made that much sense to me. I reckon that deal is not scheduled to go through and complete until 2027 because it has to go through FCC compliance and various various scrutiny, I guess. But assuming that it does, it wouldn't be beyond the realms of imagination to think that from the 28-29 or the 27-28 season, that St James's Park will be called their new stadium will be called the Electronic Arts Arena, right?
Well, they'll have the thing. I saw a guy who met on holiday, the guy who does EA Sports. It's in the game. You met him? No, I saw a guy who met the guy on video. He was out on holiday. Yeah. I wouldn't know who this guy was. Yeah. And he goes, I can't believe it. I met the guy. I've met the guy. Look, say it, and he does his line.
Yeah.
It's in the game, and this kid was like over the moon. I wouldn't know who he was, but obviously it's iconic. It's an iconic catchphrase.
Imagine if he gets a job as the stadium announcer at St James's Park. And today, your team is in goal, number 1.
It's in the game. It's in the game. But like the Candy Crush Arena.
Yeah, we're going to Candy Crush this team today. Look, just interesting story. I'm surprised literally nobody else in the media is talking about it. When I saw it, I was like, this has got to be scrutinised. But it all fell on deaf ears. Mate, let's move away from bigger picture football stuff and let's look at actual football sort of link, shall we? First story for you today to talk to me about, mate. James Tarkowski has signed a new Everton contract until 2028. The 32-year-old centre-back has extended his contract amid wider moves by the club to retain key players. Him getting signed up, and also, of course, Branthwaite got signed up, didn't he, in the summer? Good news for Everton, or is it just to protect themselves from potential, interest? Well, they're 32 years old. Is he going to probably see out his career at Everton, isn't he?
He's a David Moyes. He's an Everton type player. He's perfect for them and makes perfect sense. He's a leader. He's still got it, and you need experience, as Spurs have seen. When you have someone like Paulinho who's come in, who's still shouting at Romero and others, in the game, get back, cover there, pointing, shouting at people where to go and what to do. Experience is key. It's what Spurs missed. Everton really need that. They got lots of new players coming in, and he's a leader. And I think it's a great signing for them. I don't believe he was going to go anywhere anyway. They would have offered him a really nice contract. They need stability. And, they're doing very well. And with the likes of Jack Grealish as well, from an attacking point of view, I think Everton have got a really good squad there, actually. They're going to be a difficult team to beat.
Yeah, 100%. Do you see, James, did you see Jared Branthwaite leaving this season in January? There's not that many rumours about him leaving in January, but he's still probably one of the best left-sided ambipedal centre-backs in the league. And there's a lot of teams out there that are looking for a left-sided centre-back. Liverpool need one. Tottenham need one. Arsenal don't, but Chelsea certainly do as well. Chelsea have got 5 centre backs out injured at the moment. Crazy, right?
They've got another 12 knocking around between there, Strasbourg.
Yeah.
Look, I think it would depend on how Everton can sell their ambition, the new owners, of where they want to go. Obviously, the new stadium being there is a statement of intent. Bringing in the likes of Jack Grealish, if they can offer him a huge contract, and the story that this is just the start of their investment, then maybe they can keep him. But it's going to take a huge bid. I'm a bit tired of the constant links. It's been going on now for almost 3-4 windows. The Jared Branthwaite to Liverpool to Man United to Chelsea. Meanwhile, he's still there. So it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one that I can't see him going anywhere at the moment. Summer potentially.
Yeah, I agree. Next story, mate. Leandro Trossard in a Reuters interview, man has denied any intent to leave Arsenal. I won't bring up the quotes; it's a bit long, but he said basically that he thinks that the rumours were that he was leaving because he was out of form, he was injured, wasn't playing very many minutes. Now he is. Now he thinks he's in top form. He's very happy where he is. He doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to leave. And then you look at Martinelli, who also has been like wildly praised by Arteta when he's come on late in games to score, important goals for them this season. And at the same time, mate, the biggest story of the day, or the second biggest story of the day, is this Antoine Semenyo roundabout story around who it is that's going to get him. He's an Arsenal fan. He's come out and said that he's an Arsenal fan. Arsenal losing also Odegaard to 6 weeks with a ligament injury in his knee. He got taken out of the Norway squad. Is there any space in Arsenal squad for another forward like Antoine Semenyo, or have they and if so, does it require to be one of those two to be sold, or what are we doing here?
I don't think I could cope if Semenyo ended up going to Arsenal as well. It seems like everyone.
I think he will go there, mate. I think he will personally.
Listen, it's interesting. Trossard didn't get an extension on his contract. He got an improved wage. I think it took him up to 200 grand a week, but he stayed on the same length of contract. The trouble, Arsenal's strength in depth is insane. Unfortunately, I believe, as a Spurs fan, that Arsenal's strength in depth is good enough and probably will win them the title this season. Said at the beginning, nothing's changed for me as soon as Mark Guehi deal fell through with Liverpool. If they sign him, they're definitely going to have to sell to fund it, because they must be close to FFP PSR now. I mean, the amount of money they spent, they were hoping to sell one of Martinelli or one of the others to make up the funds. So, he's going to be praising all these players. They've still got Havertz is out. Honestly, the depth is just insane. But yeah, why not? Why not? I don't see, unless another club can come in there and offer them something. Listen, he's a Ghanaian international. As much as I'd love to see him at Spurs, Semenyo was ribbing kudos when Bournemouth beat Spurs at our ground earlier in the season, 2 Ghanaian internationals. I don't believe that will be enough to swing Semenyo to Spurs, unless we could spin the story that you'll be playing week in, week out. And Arsenal won't be able to. You might be an Arsenal fan, but Arsenal will not be able to guarantee you playing on that left-hand side every single week. In fact, there's no chance of them guaranteeing that.
Can anybody else? Can anybody else guarantee him that? Can Liverpool guarantee him that?
I think Spurs can.
Spurs definitely can.
Yeah.
But the other rumours out there, obviously Liverpool and United looking. United have just signed. United don't. Listen, United. Everyone can do it more. Everyone can do with the Semenyo, right? Everyone can do with the Semenyo. He's the best left winger in the game at the moment, or at least in the Premier League, and he's versatile. So everyone can make the justification for improvements. But they have just signed, obviously, Cunha and Sesko, and Mbeumo, right? And they need defensive cover, or they need defensive cover, don't they? Let's be honest. Their money needs to be prioritised around fixing. I still think their goalkeeping issue is unresolved. I think they've signed an absolute lemon in Semi Lemons. I think that they've got lots of problems at the centre back state. That they're looking at Araujo from Barcelona, but the centre back market is pretty thin, and there's a lot of big teams that are looking for centre back cover. Upamecano they're looking at. I don't know how Manchester United could possibly justify another 100 million quid on another forward when they've got so many holes further back down the pitch. And the same goes for Liverpool. Like, Liverpool's problem right now, Johnny, is not that they haven't got enough talent at the top end of the pitch. They've got more than enough. It's that they play about 8 attacking players every week, and they're also incredibly threadbare defensively. So, like, could Liverpool justify another 100 million quid on another winger? Do they need it?
Listen, all I know is Man United, they sign players, they lose everything that they had before. Cunha looks a shadow of what he was at Wolves. Brian Mbeumo doesn't look like the guy that was at Brentford. And yet all the people, the players that, I mean, you know, you look at Højlund. Højlund looks like prime Haaland at the moment.
Andre Onana looks like Peter Schmeichel over there in Trabzonspor or whatever it is.
He's
Garnacho looks better. Anthony looks better. Everybody that leaves United, it wasn't the player, it was the club, right?
Yeah, it was the mindset. It was the atmosphere. It was something, you know. Leave Man United, rekindle your career. Go to United, ruin your career. I don't know what's gone on.
Same with managers.
And so, you know, that used to be the Spurs way.
But,
Højlund can't stop scoring for Napoli at the moment. He's got more goals than Ekitike. I can't remember. There was about 4 strikers put together. He's got more goals than...
and Ekitike's had a good start in life at Liverpool.
He's probably the best. Ekitike has probably turned out to be the best of the German imports that have come in so far.
Settle quicker than Xavi Simons, settle quicker than Florian Wirtz.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Settle quicker than Voltemade. Although Voltemade's been pretty good, to be honest.
He's been pretty good, but Ekitike.
Voltemade didn't turn up to the German national team. He apparently he's got the flu, but he didn't let anybody know.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you doing? I mean, I know he's up there. I know he's 6'5" tall. He's probably a little bit, you know, he's catching the flu, catching the flight, maybe. But
I think a few quid won't sort out. Mr. Voltemade, would you like a nice little place in Saudi Arabia on the beach? Just miss this one, and we'll be all right. We got some big games coming up. We can't afford to have you injured.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Speaking of Saudi Arabia, man, another story out. Do you see the Bild, German newspaper Bild, have said that Harry Kane was offered £85 million a year for 3 years, so 265 million quid or whatever, 255 million quid to join Al Hilal, and he obviously turned it down. He's not interested.
I don't think he's short of money, but that is generational wealth, isn't it? Yeah, you know, having £20 million in the bank is mad.
He's got 4 kids, hasn't he, Harry Kane?
Yeah.
So when you split that inheritance 4 ways, mate, you know, you might need a few more zeros to make sure everyone's kosher. You know.
Listen, I think he could go out. He could probably go out. I mean, listen, all the rumours that Harry Kane was, thinking about potentially coming back to the Premier League, and they've all been snuffed now. Now they're talking about a new contract for him at Bayern Munich. So I can't see that one. That happening at all. There's been quite a few. Let's have a look at the ones that I saw here for. But Semenyo,
Josh Xerxes wants to go to West Ham or Everton. He wants out of United as well, mate. The rats are leaving the sinking ship.
I've got where's the one? I was just trying to see. Hang on a second. Let's see where we are. Yeah, so Al Nassr. Hang on, where have we got here? Al Ittihad. Sergio Conceição is the new Al Ittihad manager, joining on a contract to 2027. His coaching staff joining him in Saudi include João Costa, Dembele, Fabio Moura, and a whole load of others. And Al Nassr's Cristiano Ronaldo on winning a prestigious award. I know you must be tired of seeing me here at these ceremonies, but I'm proud and happy. I think I still bring a lot to the national team and to football. How old will he be at the next World Cup? Is it 41 or 40?
Conceição?
No, Ronaldo.
He's already 40, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm just saying he'd be 40 or 41.
He's 40. He's 5th of February 1985. He's a year older than me. So I suppose he's a year younger than me. Jesus, when you compare the lives.
Oh, my body is a temple.
Yeah. The Taj Mahal.
Just
Temple in
when you
ruin.
think Arsenal couldn't sign anyone else, Arsenal are closely monitoring Juventus attacking midfielder, one of our favourites, Kenan Yildiz, which, you know, I mean, have they got?
I don't think he wants to leave Juve, mate. Do you see that video of him? He's got so much love and respect for people like Del Piero and stuff. Like, he obviously grew up just watching Juve, and he loves that that ecosystem. You know, he wasn't short of offers in the summer. Juve is obviously a monster club, right? And I think that there'll be a big bid that will come in for him. But I think he's quite happy where he is, mate.
Yeah, I think he'll stay. I think he'll stay. One player who's retiring, one of the greats actually, Jordi Alba. He's looking to retire this year. What a player he's been over his career. But Barcelona are also looking at Karim Adeyemi. Do you think he'll sign a contract at Dortmund, or just think, well, you know, now's the time to leave and go on to bigger and better things?
I think he might leave, to be honest, mate. I think
top player.
Yeah, top player. So fast, so capable. I'd like to see him in the Premier League, to be honest. I think he's got that kind of that ability. That you know, there's a lot of people that come from Germany, Holland, all Central European countries, and they don't necessarily always acclimate too quickly. It takes them a bit of time. We're seeing that this season. But he's one of those players that I think has just got the stones to do it. So I'd like to see him in the Premier League, and there'll be a lot of clubs that will be looking for him. He's one of the last remaining, you know, sort of top draw young players. You think about the things that people are looking for, right? Good output, youth, because all those fishing rods are in that particular pond. He ticks those boxes as much as like Samu Agahawa does at Porto. People are talking about Samu a lot. Not that many people talking about Adeyemi, and I'm surprised by that. But I'd like to see him. I think he's a cracking player. I wanted to ask you about Moises Caicedo, mate. There's a lot of stories out regarding Chelsea. They're looking at Baliba. They're looking at Yormaluk at Brentford. Now Yormaluk sort of plays more as a box to box and slightly more advanced. Another young 21-year-old. And Chelsea are also interested in this. Huh?
It's Ukraine. Is it Yormaluk Ukrainian?
Yeah. And then and Chelsea linked to those two. And they're also linked with that Mark Casado fella from Barcelona that we were talking about a lot in the summer. Who's another really good DM. And I'm wondering why they're linked with so many DMs. And then, of course, the stories out there that Real Madrid are looking at Moises Caicedo. Do you think it's just journalists putting two and two together in a quiet period, or do you think there might be something to it that Caicedo might want to get out of Chelsea and move somewhere else?
Listen, they're going to have to pay crazy money. I mean, when you look at Chelsea and they spent 300 million on sixes, Moises Caicedo, Enzo, Fernandez and Lavia. I think there's nearly 300 million between the three. Mm-hmm. And what they paid already for Caicedo is going to take a huge bid. And he's in unbelievable form right now. He's probably the best six in the Premier League at the moment.
He reminds me quite a lot the way I don't know. I mean, the best six in the Premier League. I know maybe I'm biased here, but look, Chelsea aren't pulling up that many trees in the Premier League. Where are they? Are they 8th, 7th? You know, I know they're only 4 points. I think 4 or 5 points off Tottenham. But I'd make the argument that Palhinha is the best six, or at least I think Palhinha has been sensational at Tottenham. Caicedo's got something about him. He's got to be so many years on his side, but he reminds me a hell of a lot of Claude Makelele, the way that Makelele went about his business, right? Just being able to intercept, interpret, anticipate, and essentially just read the game so well, and then feed it back in so quickly, right? He's not someone that wins the ball back and then turns and wonders what to do with it. If Chelsea are like progressing the ball up the field and then they get transitioned on, he's so good at spotting where the ball's going to go from the opposition, wins it back, and then immediately just sort of feeds it back up with a progressive pass. And it just allows for wave after wave. When Chelsea are on form, it allows for that kind of pressure. And he's never, like I say about all sixes, right? A good six is never going to be in the headlines because that's not their job. They're supposed to be sort of silent assassins going about their business where you're not noticing them. But if, you know, And I just think that Caicedo is a wonderful player. Him and Enzo have got probably the best midfield pairing, I'd probably say, in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But I do think that as a six generally goes, I think Palhinha has been just as good in terms
of. Palhinha, the most tackles of anyone. I was quite interested to see how that panned out. The two with the most tackles in the Premier League were Sean Longstaff and Palhinha, with Anton Stack in the middle as well. That 6'4" giant for Leeds, but I think he came out more than held his own. In fact, more than held his own, and he led, with more like a captain's performance at times in that game. But I still think Caicedo overall right now is probably the best.
Well, I'm saying the best. I'm not saying that Palhinha, or I'm saying that in terms of form, in terms of contribution, I think Palhinha has been unbelievable for Tottenham.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting he's the best six. Like, there's other sixes out there you'd rather have in your team ahead of Palhinha. But in terms of form wise, I think Palhinha was up there with a shout for, if not the best, then certainly sort of second in terms of form for the first start of the season.
Caicedo reminds me of, who's the little guy that Chelsea had before? He's a cross between
N'Golo Kante.
Kante, yeah, he's a cross between Kante and somebody else. He's just a brilliant. He's just like, it's like a bee that won't. He's always in your head. Can't get rid of it. Top player. But I can't see Chelsea personally going for him. I tell you who is also one of the best midfielders at the moment for Newcastle is Tonali. Tonali's been absolutely superb.
This season? Do you think so?
Yeah, I really do. I think he's
been a bit patchy this season for me.
I really like.
I think as a player, I think he's absolutely insane. I think he's one of the best players one of the best midfielders in the Premier League by far. But this season, when I've seen him, I think he's a little bit patchy personally. But that's opinions, I guess. But cracking player. Well, there's rumours he might be leaving, isn't there? There's rumours that he might be out.
Well, it's just rumours that I think they're sort of placed rumours that maybe he would like to go back to Italy one day.
Yeah, AC Milan, I think it was.
Yeah, but I got to be honest with you. I'm amazed he went to Newcastle, but I think he probably feels he owes them after them standing by him due to all the betting stuff. So maybe next summer, that one might, if he has a good season for them, maybe that will rule. But it's going to be big money to get him out. I think the big transfer, the two big transfers.
Sorry, Johnny, stay there for 1 second, mate. Sorry, I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Yeah. The big transfers, obviously, that most people will be talking about will be Semenyo, obviously, on that left-hand side. I can't see him being allowed to leave Bournemouth in January. I think there's reports coming out today or yesterday that if he was to leave in January, it would take £100 million bid. My club, Spurs, are not going to be bidding £100 million for him. But I could see, a Chelsea or a Man United potentially bidding that sort of money. Unless, of course, our new owners are sitting on a pot of cash that's yet to reveal itself. I can't see it. But probably the biggest transfer right now, and the one that Liverpool missed out on, which I believe is going to cost them the title, is they should never have let Quansah go to Bayer Leverkusen until they had the replacement. Brighton would never do such a thing until they had a succession. Is Mark Guehi. Mark Guehi transfer, if I was Mark Guehi now, I'd be sitting tight. I mean, you are taking a risk, obviously, but he can sign a pre-contract abroad in January, and to someone like Real Madrid, and they could offer him a huge, absolutely huge contract. Or has the Liverpool boat sailed now? Does he feel let down by that? But you run the risk if you don't sign anything in January, and God forbid something happens, you break your leg or what have you, then you're without a club, you're without a contract, and that's not what you want. But having the rug pull,
Palace could convince him to stay, mate, for 180 grand a week.
Mark Guehi is his own guy, mate. He's rock solid mentality. Nothing phases the guy. I mean, he's just had his dream move, the rug pulled from under him by Parish, and yet he just goes out there and just performs. I mean, I think the only reason they got beaten on the weekend there was, the game in midweek in Europe, and the fact that they had countless chances. That game should have been dead and buried before those two late goals. But he's been exceptional. He'll stay the season. I wouldn't be shocked if he signed a pre-contract with Real Madrid and a massive signing on fee. That wouldn't surprise me. But everyone's going to be Crystal Palace and probably will be encouraging him to sign a contract in January or to leave in January so they can get a fee. But who's going to commit a massive fee unless you're desperate? Liverpool are desperate. By the time we get to the January transfer window, they've only got, what have they got left now? Virgil van Dijk, Gomez, and Konate, whose head's all over the place. He's not the right player. And any injury to those, and they're left with Endo and Robinson playing centre back. So, yeah, I think Liverpool are the most desperate club in Europe for a centre back right now.
How much do you think Parish would accept in January?
He'll probably want 35, 40 million.
With 6 months left.
Yeah,
I don't think he'll get 40 million. I think 20, 27, something like that. I think less than 30. I'd be surprised. Well, who knows? I'm just spitballing, but I'd be surprised if he was going to get that, considering how many people want him. I mean, apparently Bayern Munich are after him. Apparently, obviously Real Madrid, we know, are after him. Liverpool are after him. Tottenham are still after him. Like, Man United would probably wet themselves if they could get him as well. But he's going to go to Liverpool, isn't he? Or he's going to go to Real Madrid. One of those two.
I mean, look, it was nailed on for Liverpool, and then the rug gets pulled. But it's a different set of circumstances now. Maybe he'll feel aggrieved that Liverpool took so long to get the deal done. We don't know exactly what's gone on.
Palace look fantastic though, don't they? Like, I know it's a real feel good story. Like, I think everybody loves Palace a little bit more than they realise because of they won the FA Cup. Exactly right. They won the FA Cup. They win the Community Shield. Then Marinakis, that donut, sort of gets through whatever it was, through the letter of complaint or whatever else. Allegedly, I'm going to say this allegedly here, but wouldn't surprise me if there was some Marinakis backhanders or whatever shenanigans taking place. And then obviously Crystal Palace get bullied out of the Europa League by on a technicality. It hasn't let them affect them at all. They've lost Eze, right? They lost Elise last year or the year before. Like they're a small team. They've got a terrible stadium, but they've got something about them. They've got this grit and determination. And Everton were fantastic to finally beat their to beat their to sort of ruin their record or whatever. But part of me is like, I don't know. Is there no chance at all that Guehi just sits there and gets convinced by the fairy tale of Crystal Palace?
I think. Listen, he's his own guy, and I think he'll do what suits Mark Guehi, and if that is look, he could have signed a much improved contract for a lot more money. If it was about money, he could have signed that over a year ago. But he's not on huge money, and hopefully he'll make it up and sign. The thing is, how much money will he be giving away if he signs for a club in January? Because the signing on bonus, let's be honest, he's an £80 million signing easily. okay, as a centre back for his level. I believe he is,
okay.
right? So if you're signing on a free, your signing on bonus is going to be big, and your wages are going to be big, and the club is still saving money. Even if it's £60 million player, you're not paying the 60 million plus huge wages. You're getting him on a free and a signing on bonus and a big wage. So you're still saving
50 million quid of 50% of whatever the real value is gets paid out to somebody, right? It just doesn't go to the selling club. It goes to the buyers, it goes to the agents and the player and various
exactly,
and family or whatever else,
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be an interesting story though, mate. Be an interesting story, and we will bring it to you right here for every update that comes. Johnny, a couple more stories, unless you've got some more, mate. I've got some more.
Rangers, Glasgow Rangers, Russell Martin eventually sacked, 123 days, 17 games, taking Rangers backwards. Here's another manager dying on the hill, his tactical hill, learned absolutely nothing of his time at Southampton, where his tactics didn't work. He's not for changing. And look what happened to Southampton. He's come to Rangers and he's done exactly the same thing. Apparently he was sacked via WhatsApp, and he said he's looking at suing the club for £5 million for breach of contract, which is going to be an interesting one. But there's talk that Steve Gerrard is potentially going back to Glasgow Rangers. They're in a bloody mess. I see that a lot of fans saying, "Well, Mikey Moore, he couldn't do anything up there." You're talking about a kid who's just 18 years of age being responsible for the club imploding. I mean, what a load of nonsense that is! Absolute crap. It was wrong from front to back under Russell Martin, and I wouldn't be surprised unless Steve Gerrard comes in and takes him under his wing. If someone like Mikey Moore doesn't come back, but Rangers in a mess. But what's interesting is that Tony Bloom, who took a stake in Hearts, and everyone was going, "What's he doing there? What's he doing with that for?" And he turned around and he said, within three years, I expect to break the monopoly of Rangers and Celtic," and people just laughed. And where is he right now? Sat at the top of the table, ahead of schedule. That would be something if he breaks that duopoly.
Listen, I don't watch Scottish football, mate. So I'll lean into your.
It's just the topic of conversation.
But I'm saying I can't really add much to this, but from what I've heard on TalkSport and that, people are saying that Hearts, like the sort of the amplification, the expedition of Hearts' rise can only be down to the impact of Bloom, right?
Correct.
But they're also saying that it doesn't look like it's slowing down. It looks like they're playing football that is good enough to continue this early vein of form, and that actually Hearts do have whether their squad is as capable of Rangers or Celtic, they actually do have the kind of ingredients to actually break that duopoly for the first time. When was the last time a team other than Celtic or Rangers won the Scottish Premier League?
I actually don't know. But it'd be nice to see someone break that up. It makes the league more interesting. I'm not sure. I'm sure someone can look it up. When was the last time? Aberdeen did this last season. They fell away. Yeah, they did. I mean, Aberdeen are now bottom of the league. Dorrington there, obviously not having the best season, but listen, we shall see. It's early doors. Last time was in the 80s. Really? Might have been before that. Yeah, you might be right. Dundee United or Aberdeen. If someone could mention it in the chat, when was the last time the duopoly of Rangers? Well, don't forget, Celtic won 9 in a row. So we shall see. We'll see what happens there. What other news you got? Actually, if you're in the chat, guys, and you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. Helps the algorithm, helps us grow. And again, If you're watching and you haven't hit the subscribe button, guys, please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to go up to 5,500 subs. Couldn't do that without you. And if you're listening on audio, please hit the follow button.
Other stories, mate. I've got. Let's have a look. See what we got here. We've done Mark Guehi. We've done Harry Maguire. How about Harry Maguire, mate? Harry Maguire apparently wants a new deal to stay at Manchester United beyond his current deal, though he would be willing to accept reduced wages. At the same time, though, Manchester United are being linked with Upamecano from Bayern Munich. They're linked with Mark Guehi. They're linked with any number of centre backs that are out there. We know that United need a new centre back. Do you think that Harry Maguire will stay, or do you think he'll move on? Because there's other rumours out suggesting he'll go to Saudi Arabia to pick up his paycheck. What are your thoughts?
Well, if it was per 100,000 per inch of his head's effing massive, it would be on a big contract, wouldn't it? Judging by the side of his head, but he might be out to Saudi. I mean, mind you, he likes to drink, doesn't he?
Does he?
Well, I don't know. There was that incident, wasn't there, in Greece? I don't know how much you can read into that. Probably somebody noising him up. I don't know, remember the entire story. But listen, he's been a good professional. I'll tell you what, he might be a centre-back, but for Ruben Amorim, he seems to have been a good centre-forward.
That's right, mate. Listen, he gets a hell of a lot of hate. He gets so much hate, so much animosity from United fans. But I think increasingly the evidence is out there now to think that actually it's not the players on the pitch, right? Like it's there's something else. Like it's like a toxicity in the environment. But yet, time and time again, Harry Maguire has actually turned up in the big moments. Think about the Europa League quarterfinals. I think it was against Lyon. I think when he scored the winner was it against Lyon? He scored in the last minute. And there's so many others. I don't know. Harry Maguire, for me, I never feel sympathetic towards any footballers because they get paid fortunes and they get to do the best job in the world. But there's a little bit of sympathy that I have for him because I think that he is a bit of a, I don't know. I think he's a little bit of a
£80 million, Sean. Do we have any sympathy?
He's not responsible for the price.
No, he's not. But I mean, I think
he's not. Maybe maybe the Leicester year kind of obviously a lot of people outperformed that year. Think about Mahrez, right? He was at Leicester that particular year. They all went on. I think they're all good players. Like, they're not bad players. But I just think that Harry Maguire went into a team like who was the last successful signing at Manchester United, Johnny? I mean, I can't remember. Like, it certainly hasn't thus far. Time is too young to tell on the 3 or 4 players they've signed this year. But Xerxes hasn't been. He's going to go on loan and probably
He wants out. Yeah, he wants
out. And he'll probably do bits. Right? If he goes to West Ham or Everton, he'll probably do great. We've already seen Højlund doing great. Anthony was considered a flop. He's gone on and done great things.
Well, Bruno Fernandes probably, as said, Z, no relation to Xerxes in the chat, says Bruno Fernandes. And Bruno
How
Fernandes.
Long was that? 5 years ago?
Well, maybe more. Apparently, there's a secret deal has already been agreed for Bruno Fernandes to move to Saudi Pro League for 100 million, with Man United using that money to sign Carlos Baleba and Elliot Anderson. Whether you believe in that or not.
Listen, that story, that Bruno to Saudi story just keeps on popping up. How many teams are there left, mate, in Saudi that are going to...
He's going, man. It's just a matter of time. I mean, listen, I don't think... He doesn't seem to me... The little rat doesn't seem to be the type of guy that hangs around for a sinking ship. He's been looking for a new ship. I mean, I don't know. Look, they managed to beat Sunderland at the weekend. But was it convincing? Hell no. Second half, no chance. Let's see what happens. They've got some games coming up. Let's see if they can they turn it around. They've got players coming back.
That's a good point, Reese, mate. You can't get Anderson and Baleba for 100 million.
Well, this is press, Reese. Is Baleba worth 100 million? No. But if Brighton say that's what they want, that's what you're going to have to pay. Listen,
By the way,
Newcastle.
Reece, it was great to meet. I bumped into Johnny when I told you I phoned you up and said I was supposed to meet a girl
Yeah.
in the pub, and I walked all the way down to the wrong pub, and then I walked all the way back. On the way back, I was absolutely shattered. I bumped into Reece in the on the street. Good to see you, Reece, mate. You're taller. You're taller than I. Not that I've imagined how tall you are, but you surprised me with your height, my man. It's good to see you, buddy, for a moment.
You were tall for your height. Very tall for your height.
Very tall for your height. Yeah, Johnny, I think I've kind of exhausted my stories here, mate. Oh, Richarlison, apparently Orlando City.
Oh, yeah, great. Well, they're going to offer him free Disney rides. I mean, come on. It's like, shall I go to Saudi Arabia or shall I go to Disney?
He's not leaving, is he? He's not leaving. He's not leaving.
Well, Serge Reguilon looks like he's going to sign on a free for Inter Miami. Very nice indeed. Go out there.
He'll love Miami, mate. He'll be injured every week. He'll be hungover every week. He won't play a minute, will he?
It'd be perfect. I just think that, I think that's perfect. So I'm surprised no other club. He has had other offers in Spain. I'm not sure, why he's particularly taking this one. One deal that's been absolutely superb, and it's lovely to see, is Son Heung-min's move to LAFC. I mean, talk about the stars aligning. LAFC going nowhere. They've signed him. I think it's 8 goals and 3 assists in 9 games. Elevated the team. The amount of shirts they've sold and everything is far exceeded any expectation. I don't think they realised themselves just how much of a draw Sonny is. There's a large Korean community in Los Angeles, and they've signed the new sort of superstar for that league. We all thought as Spurs fans his style was weighing in. His legs looked like they'd gone. Have they gone, or did he lose form or lose faith with the system under Ange Postecoglou? Or is it just the
US League? But listen, I couldn't be happier for him. It seems like he's rebounded mojo, and good for him. I want to show you this, mate, because someone's just mentioned it. NSG, big up to you, mate. Hope you're okay, buddy. It says, on another note, we should most definitely give Williams Barnett minutes this season off the bench. I don't know if you saw his 2 goals against Newcastle were incredible. Have you seen this little flick of skill, mate? I've got a little clip up off of Twitter. Sorry for everyone that's not a Tottenham fan, but look at this. Look at this geezer. All right, he wins the ball back, cut the left foot, right foot pull back, and then the back heel and the flick across. We've got Tottenham Hotspur.
Are you allowed to show these?
Yeah, it's fine. Tottenham Hotspur have got an absolute unit on our hands with this kid. But Johnny, what's the right way to how do you do this? How do you Tottenham fuck up all the time with regards our talent? Like let's just quickly before I bring that one in. Will Lancashire, right? 5 goals in the Championship. You know who's coming calling? I don't know if you saw this one. 2 teams in Germany, known for developing brilliant young players, are both knocking on the door for Will Lancashire. Your club, RB Leipzig, and Dortmund, right? They both want a slice of the Will Lancashire pie. I've always liked Will Lancashire, mate. I've always rated him. I've said it 1,000 times.
Ange didn't rate him.
I know. There's something about the geezer. When you and I were sitting there at Reading in the pre-season, and Vuskovic flicks the ball on, he's always. I don't know what he does, but he seems to be in the right place all the time. And the same against Galatasaray. There's something about him that I rate, and he's doing it in the Championship. I'll come back to Luca Williams-Barnett in a second. I'm sorry for everyone that's not a Tottenham fan that doesn't care about our young players on loan and stuff. But I just want to have this conversation with you, Johnny, because we haven't had a chance to talk about this for a while. Is Will Lancashire someone that you think is that has enough to bring him back and give him some more minutes at some point?
Well, I'm a big fan of Fabio Paratici. Made us pay £2 million. When did Spurs ever pay £2 million for a young kid?
Is that how much he cost? Was it £2 million?
Yeah, from Sheffield United. That's what we paid for him. It looks a bargain, just the same as Vuskovic looks like a bargain. As another one. I don't think Spurs will sell him just yet. Listen, we've got so much talent coming through that we've been acquiring. It's there's so many fans out there that get annoyed when we're signing these players. Don't be, because we need to produce a conveyor belt of talent just like every other club to supplement them. So you don't need to come through and you need to buy 8 different positions. If you're producing a an Awani or a Phil Foden through the club, that means that you can spend the money elsewhere in a different position. So I'm all for it. I wouldn't sell him just yet. I'm sure
if he was at the club right now, because there's a lot of people that are were so pissed off with Richarlison's performances.
Yeah,
and obviously Mwani's not fit, and Solanke's injured, and Matisse Tell, apart from he had a good, his best performance, or at least his best output, whatever, against Leeds. Although he didn't do too much in terms of creativity, but he hits the bar or whatever as well with a header. A lot of people were saying give Dane Scarlett a go. Now Dane Scarlett's. I know I don't subscribe to that either, by the way. But Dane Scarlett is someone that's failed every loan he's had. But yet, whenever he's had minutes in a Tottenham shirt, here and there, in a first team shirt, he's actually done okay. And so some people are going, just give the guy a go. If Will Lancashire was at Tottenham right now, I'm not going to sit there and say, give Dane Scarlett a go ahead of Richarlison. And I'm glad that Matisse Tell was, hopefully this will be a catalyst for him. But if Will Lancashire was on the bench rather than Dane Scarlett, I would have been saying, drop Richarlison and give Lancashire a go. I would have been calling that one out. I really think he's going to be a good player.
Yeah, listen, for me, I we've got a lot of these loans right this year. We got some wrong, obviously, but I think it's much better for Vuskovic to be playing at Hamburg week in, week out than sat there in the dream that he might get some minutes in a couple of weeks against Doncaster. And the same for Will Lancashire. Will Lancashire is playing at Oxford, no glamorous team, not flying high in the league. And he is... he's playing 90 minutes. He's got the physicality. I remember the first time I saw him, and I remarked to someone, I saw him at the Academy Games, that he looked like a butterfly swimmer. One of those Olympic butterfly. I don't know if you've ever seen an Olympic butterfly swimmer where the shoulders are huge. And that's what he reminded me of. And I just thought, if he can finesse his game and what have you. I mean, he was at Arsenal before he went to Sheffield United, and then he's come back to London. I just think that these loans are very good. They are the making of him. Look at Harry Kane. Harry Kane had lots of failed loans at Orient and Leicester and what have you. So, it's early doors, and if he has a very good season and he manages to go through that season, maybe they will look at bringing him back. We got Mason Melia, who's doing very well, in the Irish league.
Is he coming in January?
January. He's coming. So now he might go straight out on loan, or I don't know what the club will do.
He's a unit, though, isn't he?
Another unit, Mason Melia. So
he's played 6 games in the Irish League this season, and he's got a 1 goal and 1 assist. So
he's a big unit. He's not been setting the game alight. But what I'm saying is, when you look at Manchester City, O'Reilly, Foden, some of the other players that are coming through. You look at Arsenal and the amount of players that are coming through their academy. I think
Chelsea. We're a couple of years behind them, aren't we? In terms of
we are, but we've been buying Oliver Boast. Was another one we bought recently. Who's doing very well. We've been buying a lot of talent.
We bought another one called something Ball. I did a video on both of them. There was 2 players we bought last week. One of them was from Leyton Orient, a 15-year-old. Yeah. And the other one was someone Ball, who I was using the prize, a proper baller, right? I was being facetious. But I checked them out on Y-Scout. And again, I got no idea of the quality of these leagues, like the under-21s, whatever, the under-18s, whatever. Yeah. But they all look very, very impressive, mate. Do you think? Let's move on from Will Lancashire and forget about the other guys. Let's talk about this guy, Luca Williams-Barnett, mate. This geezer. I mean, he's tearing it up as an attacking midfielder. He's banging in goals galore, mate. Absolutely galore. Does he give you more good vibes than even Jamie Donnelly did?
Yeah, I mean, look, he's an exciting player. What I like about him, his feet are so quick. He's got fantastic feet. And no, I don't have the
I
foot
think he's like a Cole Palmer type. He looks like
he's got a foot fetish, but let's be realistic here, right? He's young, right? He's young. But I would like
young boys with a foot fetish, Johnny?
Yeah, young boys with lovely feet. I think we got to be careful bringing them through, and I think that he's an exciting talent. But right now, let him go through the academy, let him potentially get a few minutes here and there. Unfortunately, we're playing Newcastle, so he's not going to be getting minutes there away to Newcastle. So I'm not quite sure where he's going to get minutes currently. I would leave him in the academy for the rest of the season and then see where we are, whether or not he's brought forward. Right now, there's no real space for him. But if he was maybe at Man City or Arsenal, maybe they're better at bringing these players through. I saw Mikel Arteta's son is played for the under-18s just last week. I don't know how good he is, but no, look, I think he's an exciting.
Arteta's son was playing for Arsenal under-18s.
Under-18s, yeah, he's like 16, I think he is playing for the under-18s. But I wonder if he puts.
It's like seeing Vanessa Phelps' daughter. You got a glass of red wine there, Johnny.
Yes, a glass of red wine. So cheers to everybody. I know it might be early.
Around 5 o'clock somewhere.
5:30 over here. So I'm having a bit early for.
I'll bring the missus on the screen, mate. Let's get her take. You get her on for a minute.
Yeah, Lynn. You come? Are you screen worthy? Are you screen worthy?
I'm shy.
Oh, she's shy. She said she's shy.
She's got better takes about football than you, Johnny. Let's be honest here, mate. She gets most of her. You get most of your ideas from her. Big up to you, mate. Cheers, buddy. Cheers.
Yes, cheers. What was I going to say? No, I think I think if a kid's good enough, we think about Wayne Rooney coming through at sort of 16, 17 for Everton. Players like Rob Jones. I always worry though when I think of players like Rob Jones, who came through very young at Liverpool, ended up with these sort of shin splints and things like that. I do worry that they're getting damaged too much football too early.
Yeah.
Max Dowman, incredible. I mean, like he does not look like a 15-year-old. It's just incredible.
Same with that Onua from Liverpool. Not Onua. What's his name?
Yeah, I mean he's a Chelsea boy. I mean he was.
Who's the Liverpool left winger? What's his name?
I can never remember.
Whatever. Yeah. The chat knows who we're talking about.
But how the hell Liverpool managed to convince him to leave Chelsea and told him that he would be part and parcel.
Nguma, that's it.
Yeah, Nguma. Liverpool managed to convince him that he would be part of their first team. I don't know how.
He is, though. He has been.
Well, he was, at that young age. I mean, let's be honest, he would probably not get any minutes.
Well, that's the question about the Semenyo deal, right? I'm desperately trying to find rationalities here as to why it is that he'll come to Tottenham, despite being an Arsenal fan. And I'm landing on a couple of very sort of threadbare arguments. One is, if you want to play Isak at Liverpool and Ekitike, and at the moment you can't drop Ekitike, but you have to find room for Isak, then you can play Ekitike off the left. Two is you've got Rio, right? If you bring in a young guy like Semenyo, are you cop blocking Rio, right? So that's one argument. And also the defensive reinforcements that they need. At Arsenal, they've already got too many, and they spent a hell of a lot of money. Can they really find another 100 million quid in January? If not, can Man United? I don't think they can justify it. The only team out there in the Premier League that can justify 100 million quid right now on a guaranteed starter that isn't cop blocking anybody particularly is Tottenham. But does the guy hate Tottenham because he's an Arsenal fan?
Or where are the Lewises going to pull £100 million out of? I mean, so far
that's the other big one. That's the other big one. No more payday loans. Listen, Johnny, we're going for an hour and a half, mate. If we go too much longer, we're going to dilute the watch. So listen, we'll leave it there, guys. We'll be back. Johnny, you around tomorrow?
Yes, I'm around for tomorrow. There's a super chat there. Another super chat we've missed. One more.
Blake, my man, big up to you, buddy. Choo to you. Appreciate you very much, Blake. Hope you're okay, buddy. It's good to see you. Good to be back, guys. Good to be back. We've had a little breather, but we're back. The Football Inc. Please do like the video if you get a chance. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Notification bell button should always be squeezed. And also keep those comments coming in the after game as well if you're watching this later. Johnny, I'll let you go and enjoy your red wine, mate. Go and enjoy your time with the missus.
Good to be back. It's good to be back, guys. And thanks for all your support. We've got lots of things planned for the show. Obviously, we'll be going back to the the predictions, the fantasy football, and everything else, and some new things. And we hope to be having some guests on as well, talking about other clubs and other things going on in football. So thanks very much for your support, and it's a goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from him. Enjoy Cyprus, mate. Take care. See you guys.
Bye. Bye.